What's up, guys? Stephen One Boy Thompson.
It's the IBA champion, Earl Smith Jr.
This is Cynthia Calvio.
Hi, this is Michaela Mayer.
This is Derek the Black Beast Slows.
This Daniel Miracle Man Jacob. Shout out to Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to
the Slip and Dip podcast
With your boy Kendrick and Matt.
And you're listening to Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Kendrick and Matt on the Slip and Dip podcast.
Oh, beautiful, man.
Woo! Episode 78, Slip and Dip podcast. Kenny Johnson, Matthew Wells. You heard him in the intro. It's Bomb Squad Week. Fury, Wilder, Heavyweight Championship of the World. This Saturday, Staples Center, yours truly will be third or fourth row ringside. Shout out to PBC who take care of your boy. Pretty pumped. I leave Tuesday. And I might go see 3 Laker games and get paid.
Gonna be a busy week for you.
Hey, when you do more than one sport, that's what happens. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, man. No doubt.
I'll be living at Staples Center.
Not only that fight's coming up, man, but we had a lot of stuff go on in the world of combat sports this past weekend, and we're going to talk about it. So where do you want to start off at?
We start off with Fury and Wilder. I'm glad that they actually get in the fight. Unlike UFC, they didn't stretch it out. These guys, Deontay is 31, Tyson Fury's 30, and we're gonna see who the real guy is because people understand. Even though Tyson Fury don't got a belt, unlike in UFC, they have a lineal champion, so he's technically recognized as the guy. So when Deontay knock him out, I put my prediction out there, 8th round KO. When Deontay knocks him out, he comes to Anthony Joshua. I'm the guy, so we need to fight 50-50, and we're not going to fight no bullshit-ass UK. We're going to do it right here in good old America and fight in either Vegas or New York, and let's get this party started. That's exactly how that's going to go.
So who's the A-side in that situation?
Right now, Wilder can make a claim. He has to win. He has to win because he be the lineal and WBC champion because the WBC is the most prestigious belt at boxing, a.k.a. the green belt, and he's a lineal champion. So that trumps anything Joshua got, I think.
Okay, all right. Not mad at it.
And he has the biggest win. He has the guy to beat the guy because I know Joshua beat Klitschko and they keep talking about that. Well, who beat Klitschko? This guy.
Right.
So he beat the guy to beat the guy.
That's true. Guys, if you are listening on the audio side today on the show, our guests are none other than Dewey Cooper, making his return to the show, and the first time ever guest on the show, Jose Shorty Torres, talks about his flyweight struggles with the UFC and that whole crazy situation, and gives us an update on what's going on with him right now. But let's get back, before we get to those interviews, let's get back into all this madness that happened this past weekend. Let's start off with some legit stuff, some legit competition. Shall we do that, Kendrick?
All right.
Legit competition here. Francis Ngannou makes his return to the octagon and does it in emphatic fashion. 44 seconds is all it took for him to dispatch of one Curtis Blades in their rematch. Any surprises here?
You watch the card more than me. I'm not really tripping on the Ngannou Curtis Blades fight. I think Curtis Blades is a good dude. He tries hard, but try hard only get you so far.
Yeah, I think it's just, he has to get. If he doesn't get you down, he can't impose his game. He's got to implement some better. I don't know. I mean, he's getting better. He's obviously getting better, and I mean, hell, if Francis touches you, you're not gonna survive that. And the shot that he hit him with was really like a glancing blow off the top of the back of the head. So, and it still put him down. And it's just night after Francis starts wailing on you.
What do you think about the stop? It was questionable, but I don't think he had like the whole other 4 minutes of getting beat down. He doesn't survive the 4 minutes of that onslaught.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it was a good stoppage. It was a good stoppage.
It was gonna get worse.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need to see him go completely out there. It was a good stoppage. It was a good stoppage. And if you protest the stoppage, just don't get caught with that shot.
But to me, seeing guys like Curtis Blades, a quote unquote trending prospect, but puts how great somebody like DC is. Like, people take MMA for granted, but he's a legit mixed martial artist. DC can knock you out. He can submit you. He can out wrestle you. There's not too many people games of any level that's like that, and that to me shows how great he is. Like, look at Stipe. Stipe can wrestle you, can knock you out. He can't submit you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Francis can knock you out. He can't wrestle you or submit you. Like, a lot of people have holes in their games, and Stipe's one of, I would say, in the last 20 years, he's probably one of the top 10 fighters of all time. The last 20 years, and look, he has a hole in his game. That show you how very few people, other than the Joneses and the Cormier, have no holes in their game. Yeah. That's why I think the up and coming cats that are coming, male and females, not trying to scoop the ladies, it's going when these people come, they're gonna come with the ruckus because they already studying a John Jones, they already studying a DC, they already studying a JJ, and they're like, okay, I'm not gonna be like that. And some of these people, we're gonna catch a freak like a Greg Hardy that's gonna be a bad person. I'm ready to see him in the UFC.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's a really nice guy, people. I checked the checker pass. He's a really nice guy, but he's gonna be that guy that's gonna be coming right at Francis. Now they ain't gonna be able to deal with that smoke.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting. And I mean, obviously, because of his past, it's the only reason he's not in the UFC right now. He would have been in the UFC last year. He would have been in there after the Contender Series fight. But obviously, they're slow playing this to try to warm people up and not necessarily make them forget about, the whole domestic violence thing, but they're building it to where he's got so many wins. He's knocking out everybody that you can't deny him. And they're trying to make it to where it's like, he deserves to be here type thing.
Do you agree that he definitely he could have beat both guys in the cage yesterday?
I don't know about that.
I think he's too quick for Francis, and
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I mean, we need to see what he looks like in the UFC against proper competition.
He said proper.
Yeah, I mean, because these guys that he's been beating, I mean, like, they're big dudes, they're strong dudes, but come on, skills aren't there. So, we saw what happened when Francis finally fought Stipe. He ran into a guy with a higher skill set, and he was able to eliminate what he was able to do. So once we see him in there with some guys that have more well-defined skills, we'll see what he looks like. And if he continues to run through them, then hey, he continues to run through them.
How good does that make Derek Lewis look too? Because at the end of the day, he didn't get caught, and he stood right in front of him for 15 minutes. Right. Saying how bad of a fight it was. Now, I mean, people standing in front of that man and living to tell about it. He was smiling in his face while he was doing it. Like I said, it could be a boo-boo ass fight, but he doing what other people. If it was that easy, Curtis Blades would have won the damn fight.
Those were two different Francis Ngannous. The one that fought Derek Lewis was not the same one that fought on Saturday morning.
Yeah,
It was not. It was not. He was scared to pull the trigger. He pulled the trigger on Curtis, and he was marching forward. But in that Derek Lewis fight, it was the complete opposite.
But here's the thing, Derek Lewis has that firepower to get his ass up out of there. There's a reason he wasn't pulling that trigger. It wasn't like he was hurt or something.
I mean, Curtis has dropped people too.
It's not like Derek Lewis.
Yeah, of course, but I'm just saying.
Even like DC. You saw DC, what DC do the first time he got caught a glancing blow from Derek Lewis. I'm going in this fight.
Yeah. Right. No, I get it. So before we get into... Actually, no, let's do this. Let's go right into the other madness that happened this weekend.
I'll let you talk about it. I just saw the highlights, but I don't see why people are up in arms. And then all these people talking... Why did you watch? If you knew that was going to happen and you so appalled, why did you put your money or waste your time if you're a streamer like people I know?
I mean, listen, of course people are going to pay their... I mean, some people were like, I'm going to pay this just out of respect for these guys, yada, yada. Some people didn't watch. I know a lot of people didn't watch based on, the reaction I was seeing on social media, but... Obviously, Liddell Ortiz 3 was a thing that happened, and it was a thing that shouldn't have happened because there's a reason why years ago Dana White was like, I don't want to see Chuck Liddell ever fight again. And it's because his skills diminished. Like, they didn't just diminish. He didn't go through a slow decline. He fell off a cliff. And we saw that in the Rich Franklin fight when he didn't look like the same Chuck then. And you want to tell me 8 years later he's going to look good enough to go in there with Tito Ortiz, a guy who fought a year ago and won over Chael Sonnen? Chael Sonnen's no walk in the park. I mean, he's never been a champion of a major promotion, but Chael Sonnen is legit competition for guys their age, right? In their 40s. It went down exactly as I thought it was going to. And you saw from the very instant, like, they were trying to say during the build-up, right? They were trying to say during the build-up after these training videos a Chuck came out that they were slow playing it. They were trying to put out this fake footage. You hear that from time to time. Oh, we're putting out fake footage. Like, that's not what he's really looking like. They were trying to play that angle. Okay. And then we see Chuck at weigh-ins, and he's, like, moving like an old man. Like, all right, is he really still playing is he still slow playing it? Okay. All right, we'll give you that. And then they get into the cage, and the bell rings, and Chuck looks like he's never fought before. Like, it was terrible. And Tito, like, starts taunting him, and just, like, Tito's obviously kept in much better shape.
And he's the younger guy. People not talking about that either.
Yeah, he's 6 years younger than the guy.
Yeah.
Or 5 years younger, whatever. I mean, it depends. Ask Tito what his age is. He doesn't even know.
But here's some facts people are overlooking. Simple facts. The last time Chuck Liddell won was 2007, December. This December coming up in like 3 weeks, Chuck Liddell will be 49.
Yeah.
We always talk about this being a young man's game. Those are just pure facts. I think I cursed Chuck Liddell. First time I saw Chuck Liddell fight, May 26, 2007. Mm-hmm. I know nothing about him or Rampage. He went to sleep. Ever since then, his career been down. That's the first time I saw Chuck Liddell fight was when he got knocked out by Rampage in UFC 71. That's why I became a fan of the sport. Yeah. I know nothing about. I didn't know what jiu-jitsu meant. I didn't know anything then.
Yeah, man. It's just one of those things. It's like you said, it's a young man's game. It's a young woman's game.
Yeah, for women, I would say that cutoff is like 30, 31.
We haven't really seen it yet in terms of MMA.
You kind of have, because it's not even just pure physical, because you got the physical and then you got people want to have families and stuff. Like look at Ronda and
that's different. Like
Ronda and
what's
her name? Ronda and Misha.
But yeah, Misha,
or somebody like our girl, a friend of the show, Karate Hottie. She said the reason that she's fighting is because she had her kid early. If she hadn't had a kid, she would be ready to finish within a year. That's
different though. That's life decisions. I'm talking about.
But guys don't have to deal with that though.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to bring in that element. I'm talking about when do your skills decline enough to where you shouldn't be fighting anymore. We haven't seen that with women yet.
Yeah, guys is about 35.
Yeah, I mean, well, no. There's guys in their 40s that can still compete, and of course, there's going to be outliers. I mean, hell, look at DC.
You got outliers, but I'm talking about somebody that's dominating. Like everybody ain't no damn DC.
Exactly. There's always going to be outliers. DC can probably fight for another 5 years and still not look like Chuck.
I think DC's actually better now than he was like 2 or 3 years ago, which is kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, especially now that he's back at heavyweight.
That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy that his power transfers like that.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it just always boggles my mind. Like, what would he have looked like if he never dropped down to light heavyweight? Like he would still be on. He would be on the Demetrius Johnson title reign right now.
I wonder if if John could win a heavyweight. I think John now to remotely put himself back in the GOAT, not to go off script. Yeah. He has to win a heavyweight now. Like DC kind of put that carrot out there. He has to do it in his career.
Yeah, and John could.
With all his asterisks. If he didn't have the asterisks, it wouldn't matter, because at the end of the day, they fought at a weight and he won, technically twice. But when you have the asterisks involved, you got to do something that you may not going to sign up for. Now you got to sign up for it. If you that guy, you got to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something. There's definitely something to that. I don't know.
And to have to do it the next year or two before his career's up. I ain't talking about just fight a heavyweight. I'm talking about get that strap. You don't even have to be a champ. You can get, like, say I'm a focus on being a heavyweight. He gives away his belt after he was out. Alexander does not survive the third round. Alexander's about to get finished, bro. It's not going to be brutal.
We'll see.
Dude didn't train the first time and still won. Dude didn't train the first time and still won. Unless he just got old by not fighting over last year. But same as he gives up the belt and said, hey, I'm going to fight 2 fights and then fight for the belt or whatever, and he's not a champ. I'll give him that. But you got to get the heavyweight belt. But it's part of, remember we talked about this before, the new equation, you have to be a 2-division champion. That's why TJ's so big a deal. That's why we got, as y'all hear later in the show, we got this farce of a 125 fight. Because he want to put his claim in there, he needs that 2 belts in 2 different divisions.
That's the UFC putting this facade that you have to be a 2-division out there now.
I didn't say for like to promote, but if you're gonna be that guy, you consider to be that guy, you're gonna have to do something that's exceptional. Once again, I say this all the time: if it was that easy to do it, everybody would be doing it.
I mean, there's guys that could be doing it, but the promotion.
Then why are they doing it then?
The promotion won't let it happen. The promotion won't let it happen. That's what I'm saying.
Say you're a Conor McGregor hater. He's automatically in the top 5. Worst case scenario, top 10 of all time. He can't fight. You can't take away those credentials. And he was the first to do it.
It's all promotional, man. Because the UFC didn't let Jose Aldo fight Anthony Pettis. When Anthony Pettis beat Benson Henderson and was like, I want Jose Aldo.
Yeah,
like, but it's all promotion has to give you the opportunity. If they don't give you the opportunity, there's a lot of guys out there that could have been double division champions, but they were never given the chance to. Because why? You have to move the needle. You can't just be a guy that won the belt. You have to move the needle astronomically like a Conor McGregor. Or be like a guy like TJ, who's apparently a hired mercenary to go eliminate a whole division. A guy that ran a union talking about kicking guys out of the promotion, but I won't get into all that right now.
No, you're right about that, but when it comes to the GOAT, you gotta have credentials, and when you have the opportunity, like for instance, Conor knocked out Eddie Alvarez, who had never been knocked out at that time.
Yeah, absolutely made Eddie Alvarez never look like any other.
I don't know if he had been knocked out.
No, not in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
No, he was never knocked out before, and certainly was never ever going to be knocked out ever again in 13 seconds. But digress. So back to the subject of Liddell Ortiz 3. Old guys, over the hill guys. This is kind of similar in the same way. We're looking at another major fight coming up, and it's another old guy facing a young guy. Just as bad as the 2 old guys fighting, possibly even worse, is the young guy against the old guy. This time, 2 of my favorite guys. 2 of my favorites. My all-time favorite.
I'm not on the Antonio bandwagon like that, but man, it's a bad look for Anderson Silva. When I saw that,
Israel Adesanya at UFC 234, and this is just a matchup that doesn't make any damn sense. Other than, this is the only reason this makes sense, because casual fans know the name Anderson Silva. Less casual fans know the name Israel Adesanya. So you put those 2 names together, and Israel Adesanya goes out there and does what he's going to do against Anderson Silva. Boom, people know about Israel Adesanya now. So this is like a popularity boosting fight for Izzy, and they're using Anderson Silva's name to do it, and I'm not happy about it.
Why can't you be happy about it? He signed that deal, so
he signed the deal.
He happy about it.
Listen, Anderson's going to be the guy that always wants to test his skills, and I can appreciate that because he's 43, bro. I get it. He's always going to be the guy that wants to go in there and test his skills, show off what he can do, and he's the guy that studies so many different styles of martial arts, and we're going to see it. We're going to see him in the fight. We're going to see him do the Wing Chun defense. We're going to see him do everything that we've seen Anderson Silva do in the past. I hate this fight. I hate it, man.
It's not gonna work out for him for multiple reasons. First of all, he's not that same person physically as he was back in the day, and I'm not even talking about I know behind the scenes stuff. It's not gonna work out for him. And I was at the Brunson fight, so selfishly, I want that to be the last fight he won. So I said I was there.
It's kind of interesting that Israel Adesanya's guy, in his first few interviews when he came into the UFC, the parallels were between him and Anderson were there, and he hated the comparison. He was like, why? Because we're just 2 long black dudes? Well, now you're fighting him, so the comparison's going to be there forever. Like, it's etched in stone forever.
I thought he was younger than what he is. He's almost 30. I didn't think he was that close. I thought he was closer to 25 than he was 30.
Who is he?
Yeah, he's 29.
He's been fighting for a while, man. Like I said, I've been knowing who this guy was through Instagram clips from forever ago when he was kickboxing dudes, jumping on the top ropes and all that kind of craziness, just styling on dudes. I was like, man, this guy's got to be in the UFC.
He'll beat Anderson, but in the big picture, my whole thing with him is, why does he take so many chances? It's only sooner or later. It's kind of like with Anderson, his prime. He took so many chances. Sooner or later, somebody gonna walk through that door with bad intentions.
I think
because he gets hit a lot. I know he does more. He hits way more than he gets hit. But why even take those chances? Like he takes unnecessary chances.
I don't think he's taking chances like you think he's taking chances because he's a guy that's still trying to implement his wrestling game to get ready for the top of the division. He's a guy that's still trying to learn the differences between kickboxing and MMA, and he's a guy whose skills are still growing. They're still growing, so he's still trying to put it all together. And I think what we see when he gets hit, he knows how to roll with the punches a lot, like how Anderson Silva does. So yeah, he may get tagged, but he's minimizing damage.
I don't think he's ever roll like Anderson Silva. He tries. Anderson Silva's probably could roll some punches. I don't think he's like that.
Anderson Silva was in the Matrix back then.
Yeah, so I don't think he's on that Silva Mayweather level on rolling with punches. He's above average in compared to today. Because I don't understand why don't most fighters know how to roll with punches. In fact, someone like Mr. Brock Lesnar, like, you can just tell he clearly doesn't want to get hit.
It's not a thing you should teach in the gym. I mean, let's just.
Why? If you're in combat sports, you're gonna get hit. So, I'm prepared to get hit because it comes with the territory.
It takes a special type of person to be able to do that. Like you have to have the reaction time to be able to do that and to be able to counter off of that. A lot of guys don't have that because when you see like whenever. I've noticed this in sparring. It's like a thing you kind of think of, but then in the moment, you get kind of caught. Like, okay, I see he's throwing something. There's too many different reactions that are going on, and if guys aren't in that flow state, when you try to start thinking about what you should do, that's when you get knocked out. So it's just a thing that, like, if it doesn't come naturally to you, like with Anderson, Izzy, like guys like that, you can tell that kind of reaction is natural because they have that quick switch. Like, I can get out of the way of stuff. And it's like a natural movement for them. If you try to teach somebody who's just like more rigid, like to roll with a punch, no, they're gonna get their block knocked off.
Another thing too is when he rolls, I would say that he knows how to fire back. Because somebody like Bobby Green, he can roll with the punches, but then he don't know how to fire back, and therefore he get caught when he's not rolling with the punches no more. It makes no sense. Like it looks cool and stuff. Like okay, you got a skill that most people don't got, but if you don't got the basic tools. It's like, man, I got this major screwdriver nobody got. Shit, I can't even use this hammer.
Yeah. Exactly. What else happened this weekend that you want to talk about before we get to see these interviews? Anything?
Combat sports related.
I think we hit on everything.
Yeah, we
and I wanted to talk about it at least. So let's do it, people. Listen, if you're listening to us on iTunes, please hit that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. It takes all of 2 seconds to do. And we would definitely appreciate it to help our visibility of this fantastic show you're listening to right now. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button as well. Share it with your friends. Share it around. Hit that like button. That thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. And listen to us every week. We come at you every Sunday. Show drops on Sunday evening. Out in the world Sunday or Monday morning at the latest. 2 or 3 guests every week. This week, Jose Shorty Torres. Dewey Cooper. Talking about that upcoming Kevin Lee fight, which is going to be a banger against Ali Quinta out there at UFC Milwaukee. Yeah, people. Subscribe, share with your friends. Show some love on social media. The handles are there if you're watching on YouTube. At Kendrick Johnson, at Mr. M. Wells Art, at Slip and Dip Podcast. Show some love. We do appreciate it. And let's get into these interviews. First up will be Dewey Cooper, followed by Jose Shorty Torres. Enjoy the rest of the show. Until next week, we'll see you then. Peace.
Please welcome back to the Slip and Dip Podcast, one of the best all-around trainers, and not just MMA, in the whole combat sports game. He's going to be cornering Kevin Lee when he takes on Al Quinta December 15th at UFC on Fox. Mr. Dewey Cooper. Thanks for joining us, Dewey.
What's up? Hold on. Let me get somewhere better. I don't feel comfortable where I am. Get somewhere better. I'm good, guys. How are you?
Doing good, man. How is Kevin's training going now?
Things are going very well, man. You know, we're a few weeks out, and things is going very well. I have no complaints. We're on course, man. We're on course for a spectacular performance coming up on December 15th. Yeah, y'all see that Black Panther photo in the background right there?
Yeah, that's the real stuff right there. The real Black Panthers.
had to get that in there.
I like it.
I'm walking through my house right here.
Okay, we're getting the tour. We're getting the Dewey Cooper house.
That's a good photo.
Y'all see that picture right there? That's me.
Yeah, who
A
did
real
that?
live picture. You know what I mean? I'm joking. Anyway.
Hey, full disclosure, but my co-host is an artist, man. He may get with you, get you a piece.
Hey, man! I buy art all the time. It's one of my hobbies. So yeah,
you get with him for real. So I'm trying to get some business.
We can hook it up, man. For sure.
Back trying to do a show and get some business. How big a deal is for Kevin to avenge that loss? I know he hadn't been talking about it, but that's got to be kind of in the back of y'all head because as of right now, on paper, he seemed to be the better fighter.
Well, Kevin took that fight, his very first fight in the UFC. He had just barely turned 21 years old. And he took the fight on the 3 weeks notice. You guys have all seen the evolution of Kevin Lee since he's been in the UFC. He's a completely different fighter. Though Al won the first fight, we expect a completely different outcome on December 15th.
Absolutely. And, you know, what would you say is like the biggest difference in between? I mean, obviously, I agree with what Kendrick said and what you're saying about him being a completely different fighter. But what would you say is the biggest difference for him since that first match with Al?
Well, you know, Kevin was predominantly a wrestler back then. He had just got out of college. He was a straight wrestler. His striking was nowhere near the level it is now. He wasn't as well-rounded as he is now. And, of course, 12 fights in the UFC gives you all the experience you need. And that's the biggest thing, him fighting on a big stage, getting the experience and getting the proper training and coaching that he needed. He's night and day a different fighter, and we expect that to shine through on December 15th.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 100% with everything you just said, man. It's like night and day, and it feels like, if anything, like this matchup is kind of odd in a way because, I mean, the only real reason you would expect this fight to happen, I would think, is just because they have that fight to go back to. Meanwhile, the top of the division is kind of like in a mess right now with who knows what's happening with Khabib and his suspension and everything like that, and of course Conor and all that madness. So it just feels like it's something that kind of has to happen, I guess, to get both guys a fight. Would you agree with that?
Well, no. Kevin's, in the top 5, so he needs a fight. All the other guys in the top 6 or 7 has already fought. Al took a short notice fight, against Khabib for the belt. So just by having the heart and courage to step up and take that fight on a short notice, he definitely deserves to be in contention and fight one of the top 5 guys to put himself back in place for a championship fight. So it makes sense. Dustin has fought. Tony has fought. Eddie moved on to ONE FC. So, it makes sense. We fought one of Habib's prior opponents in Edwin Barbosa. And so we get the chance again. So I think the fight makes sense. Us to fight Kevin Lee wanted. He wants to avenge his first fight in the UFC, his first loss in the UFC, and I'm sure he's going to do just that.
I know y'all look ahead, Dewey, but how does his style match up with Khabib? Because he might be that guy that saw that Khabib puzzle that nobody's really talking about.
Well, as a coach, I look at every endeavor, what endeavor we have in front of us. So I'm not even worried about a matchup with Khabib right now. We have one focus, and that's Al Iaquinta. But I feel all the guys in the top 5, top 7, top 8 match up well with one another. We all know Kevin has been wanting to fight Khabib for many years. He's been calling his name out for many years. So it's a fight that he's definitely not afraid of and a fight he definitely wants. Me as a coach, I see no faces. I see challenges. Our next challenge is Al Iaquinta. After that is accomplished, a victorious night is accomplished, then we'll worry about what's next. If you're asking me as just a fighter, not his coach, of course, I feel Kevin could beat anyone in the division, and we'll get the opportunity to fight all those guys at some point. However, as the coach, we got one accord, one focus. That's Al Iaquinta UFC Milwaukee, December 15th.
And since you got your coach hat on, how do you keep him, like he was smashing Barbosa, I don't want to say his ego got to the best with him, but it's like he was trading and got caught. How do you keep that from getting in him? Because he's easily dominating that fight. It's like, why take that chance?
Man, I mean, thing is, Kevin's a young fighter, and he wants to bring exciting fights. He wants to show his well-rounded abilities, and this is what I love about him. Sometimes you just got to fight, and that's what he was doing in the Barbosa fight. He was having success. Guys, if you get hit with a spinning hook kick, heel to the head most of the time, that's a knockout technique. That's good night. I don't know many guys who could have taken that technique and stayed on his feet and would be able to gather himself to get the takedown and to dominate the rest of that round. It was a devastating technique that was landed, and I don't really think it was carelessness. If you look at the video, Kevin put his hands up to block the kick. The heel came around his hand and caught him in the side of the head. You know, shit happens. For him to be able to take that vicious technique, keep his mind, you know, tuned in, get to the clinch, get to the takedown, and finish that round in dominant fashion is what we should be talking about. You know, one flashy technique doesn't win a fight, doesn't even win a round. Kevin has proved that he's durable. He can take a licking and keep on ticking, and these are the intangibles that world champions need.
Oh, I agree with you. You know, show we all about winning over here. Hey, he got his head raised. That's all that matters.
Yes, for sure. But remember, man, there's a lot of badass dudes, especially when they're winning. There's a lot of front runner type fighters. But when that fighter hits that moment of destruction, of demise, can they gather themselves, weather that storm, and become victorious? And I've seen Kevin do that twice already. So he's got me sold, and we're gonna keep on, getting better, keep on getting smarter, and keep on winning fights. That's the ultimate goal of the reason why we're doing this.
Absolutely. Dewey, happy belated 44th, man.
Thank you.
And on that note of guys being around in their 40s, did you see the fight last night?
Yeah, I seen the fight. I don't think there was really any surprise on what happened. I know both guys. Chuck's a good friend of mine. Tito's a good friend of mine. I really didn't want to see them do it again, but it happened, and it went the way I figured it would go. I feel that Tito probably took better care of himself over the last, 6-7 years, and it showed in the fight. But big respects to Chuck, big respects to Tito, and I'm glad they closed the chapter on their rivalry, and no one is seriously hurt, and they can move on from this.
Should that fight have even happened? I mean, like given what we saw with Chuck, it looked like he could barely move, and his reaction speed was just way down, and it felt kind of sad. Like that was like the reaction, that I was seeing.
Man, I've had many sparring sessions with Chuck back in the days before he won the UFC title and after he won the UFC title. I was fighting the K1. Chuck was trained by my kickboxing coach, Master Nick One Kick Blumgren. So Chuck and I go way back. Even when Chuck was fighting in Vale Tudo against the Brazilian fighter Pele in one of the most brutal mixed martial arts fights ever, I was the guy who was sparring with Chuck Liddell to get him ready for that Pele fight in Vale Tudo, because Pele is a southpaw like me. Mm-hmm. I can't say the fight shouldn't have went on because people paid for it. There was obviously a demand for it. Oscar De La Hoya felt really good about making that fight his premier fight for Golden Boy MMA. So obviously the fight should have happened. Were the fighters at prime points in their career? Obviously not. But people want to see it. So, I can't say it shouldn't have happened. I wasn't really enthused about the fight, but it's because I know both guys. I didn't want to see them fight each other again. But it happened. Hopefully they made some money from it, and hopefully Golden Boy Mixed Martial Arts will do bigger and better things from here on. to help, spread some what's the word I'm looking for? Spreads more wealth into the mixed martial arts fighting world.
Does that inspire you to get up in the cage? Seeing them up in there?
Say again?
Does that inspire you to make a comeback and get in there for one more time?
Man, listen, I'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. If someone wants to fight me, I want to fight them. I'm just a real one about fighting. It's not really a goal of mine, but I still train with the guys. I'm still in good shape, and I'm not afraid to fight. My motivation right now is to pass on the knowledge and win championships as a coach. But, if someone wants to fight, hey, I'm down to fight anytime.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. I know I've seen, clips of you. I've obviously seen you working with the guys, the clips, and obviously like doing the open workouts and whatever. I still think you can hang. I'm like,
Yeah, I take care of my body. People don't realize I'm a natural athlete. I played college football. In high school I ran track, played basketball. I played all sports. I was a 3-letter, varsity letterman from 10th grade on. I'm a good athlete. I'm still pretty fast for my age, but again, that's not really my goal. My goal is to pass on the knowledge. I'm a real martial artist fighter. I'm a real martial artist, meaning I went through the progressions of white belt through black belt, and I'm also a dude from the streets who've been in a lot of street fights and been in a lot of professional and amateur fights. So, I believe in the martial arts world. Once you gather the knowledge, you're supposed to pass it on, to the younger guys, and that's what I'm doing right now. But of course, if it comes down to it, I'll fight. Street fight, ring fight, cage fight, whatever fight it takes, man. I'm a real dude, and I'm definitely down to throw some blows, shoot the fives, how my boys in New York would say.
So I feel you. Back on the subject of coaching and passing things along. Another guy that you've been in the corner of in the past, Francis, had a fight this weekend. Obviously, I assume you saw the fight, and what did you think of the performance that he put on against Curtis?
Yeah, no surprise to me. I've held the pads, and I've trained with Francis, and been punched by him, been kneed and kicked by him. I know the power he possesses. I talked to him on Instagram today. I told him congratulations. He told me thanks, coach, blah, blah, blah. I talked to Coach Lopez yesterday, his head coach from Paris, France.
Yeah.
It's all love over there, man. I'm really happy for him. I knew it was going to happen. One thing about us, in this MMA world, you have one bad outing or two bad outings, people kind of give up on you. You could put this whole great body of work together, but if you have one or two bad performances, people act like it's all over. And guys, how many teams in other sports, like we've seen wild card teams in football win the Super Bowl? They get wild cards with a 9-7 record. That's barely over 500, and they can win the Super Bowl. So it's the same thing in fighting. Fighting is about confidence. Fighting is all about that moment and what you bring to the table psychologically at that moment of battle. And sometimes it's just not your night, but it does not mean you're not a good fighter. So I expected Francis to knock out Curtis. He had beat him once already. He had something to prove this fight, and he went back to France and trained the entire time with his original team. And I'm sure he seeks refuge in that. And Coach Lopez is a hell of a coach and never lost confidence in Francis. So I knew what was going to happen in that fight, man. I would have been surprised had that fight gotten out of the first round. Francis has power, guys. And if he hits you clean upside your head, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that, man. No doubt about it. The only guy he hadn't been able to get out there is Stipe, and I think if we bring that one back now, I think that would look a lot different. I think he would have a lot more success, let me put it that way. I'm not going to say he's just going to straight up knock out Stipe, because Stipe is Stipe. But
yeah.
Do you think that should be the next fight for him? You run that back with Stipe, or what?
I'm not part of the coaching staff, so I have nothing to do with the decisions. But I don't think so. If I were him, I'd take a few more fights Because first of all, Stipe, let's be honest, he deserves the next fight with DC Cormier. That's who deserves to fight more than anyone, not Brock Lesnar, not anyone else. Stipe deserves his rematch with DC, even though I chose DC to win the first fight, and I'll choose DC to beat him in a rematch. If we're talking about a fair world and what should be happening in the heavyweight division, Stipe should be getting his rematch with DC, man. After that, goes by what happens, of course. Of course, Francis at some point will definitely want to avenge that fight, I'm sure.
Dewey keeping it hot, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. I know you are a man to catch, man. You hard as a fighter to catch.
Yeah, man. I'm not been aloof with you guys, but trust me, man, I got a crazy next 4 weeks. November 30th, I got 4 fighters fighting on this boxing show. Azteca Promotions, I got my fighter, junior featherweight Kali Former, fighting for the WBF junior featherweight world title this coming up Friday. On the same card, I got undefeated Rocky Marzan fighting, my fighter James Wilkins fighting, and my undefeated other girl fighter, Jamie the Miracle Mitchell fighting. Then December 7th, I have my Mayweather Promotions TMT boxer from Uzbekistan, Sandor Rachmanov, fighting here in Vegas. Then next week, we go to Milwaukee for Kevin Lee's main event fight, the final UFC on Fox, where Kevin, will take on Al Quinta. The week after that, we're going to India for Keith Lee fighting on December 21st. So, man, I'm in like 6 different fight camps right now simultaneously. So, trust me, man, I'm not trying to front on you guys on some P. Diddy shit.
Hey, can you do
I'm telling you, dude, I'm training from 9 a.m. to about 8 o'clock at night, straight through, from one camp to the next, to the next, to the next. Not include my other fighters who are getting ready to fight in January and February. And also, I just started training Daniel Strauss, remember the ex-Bellator world champion who was paralyzed in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
He's cleared. He's back training. He's looking forward to fighting late February or early March. So we just started getting going. Man, I got a million things going on. So when I'm done training everyone, I'm so beat. I'm just trying to eat and sleep, man. not my daughter, basketball, kung fu, orchestra, piano, singing lessons. Man, I got no time. So if I don't answer the phone, it's just because I'm mad busy, man, for real.
I appreciate it. Can you do us a favor? Once Motown Phenom get that hand raised, can you help us get him back on the show, man? You know it's hard to catch him. I talked to him. He said he want to come on, but I can't catch him, though. But when I talk to him, it's all love.
Yeah, man. Kevin's crazy busy, too.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about after the fight, after you get the hand raised. We ain't got to distract him.
But after the fight, remember, he's with that new management company. They got him doing some things. He's making some big moves, man. So I will definitely talk to him and try to get something set up for you. But after the fight, I won't even see Kevin. We're going to India for Keith Lee's fight. After that, I won't see him for a few weeks. He's going to be traveling and doing all of that stuff that he has to do for his management obligations and all of that, man. Right now, man, Kevin's doing a lot of things. But I will tell you, he's looked tremendous in camp. I love where he's at. I love his mind state. And he said his goal is to show the world he's the most well-rounded mixed martial artist in the world. And that will be on display on December 15th. And we're all looking forward to it, man. These moments are rare. These moments are blessings. And we're going to take full advantage of them.
And that's the way it ended, man. Good luck to you and all your fighters, Motown Phenom, and all the ones you listen to, man. Hope you get a lot of W's. I'm pretty confident you're going to have more dubs than L's.
Man. That's one thing we will do. We on some Bill Belichick shit. We're going to have more dubs than real.
I love it.
We train way too hard. Anything could happen, but, we work very hard. And I don't want people to underestimate how much we love what we do and how much passion we bring to the table through training and during the fight. That will all be on display on December 15th. And all my fighters will show that same type of Kevin Lee, Motown Phenom passion for goddamn sure.
Love it, man. Dewey, thanks for coming on the show again, man. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
guys. Hey, I'll let your boy DC Black Cobra on Instagram. DC Black Cobra. Thanks for having me, guys. One.
Please welcome to the Slip and Dip podcast, making his Slip and Dip debut, one of the best flyweights in the world, Jose Shorty Torres. Thanks for joining us, Jose.
Oh, it's a pleasure, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
So what's your take on all this craziness with the flyweight division, and what options does that lead you? Do you have to go up, or you got other promotions here? Though it's kind of crazy. Like, you do what you're supposed to do at your job, and they say, "Hey, we still fire you. We leaving off the whole department, and you've been an A+ worker."
Yeah, man, it really is crazy, but it does bring everything up front. It's like, Dana White never really enjoyed the flyweight division even from the start, and we had. I had my own YouTube series called Inside Team Shorty, and that's how it all started. Was, well, DJ got traded. No one was looking at the bigger picture, which was what's going to happen to the flyweight division. We had the best thing the UFC had to offer, not even just the flyweight division, but the UFC had to offer. And we're like, hey, take care, have a good day. Just because you're a small guy, we don't like you. And what's that mean for the rest of us? I mean, you wanted to cut us when we had the best thing in the UFC, and then he's gone. What next? We don't have a Conor McGregor, a Colby Covington, another guy that you guys have promoted well enough. I mean, Henry Cejudo, honestly, again, he's a great champion. He's a great gold medalist, Olympic wrestler, but no one knows him really primarily in MMA yet. I think he can be a great star, but he's still, growing in his own. So, I made the video, and I was the first one on the chopping block because of it. I think that's one of the biggest reasons, because, well, I was up there trying to do my thing, and I sadly got cut. And for me, I wasn't offered a chance to bump up some of these other flyweights. They were given offers and chances to bump up and prove themselves compared to myself. I don't believe I need to prove myself. I have a resume like no other, and I've competed at both flyweight and bantamweight, having claimed 2 championships at Titan FC, doing it and defending both of them. So I don't see why I can't bump up, but they didn't give me the shot or opportunity, and they go, "Hey, appreciate it. Have a good day."
It seems like you and Justin Scoggins been the most vocal about this. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, man. Sadly with Justin Scoggins, he doesn't have a big enough social media to really make it as vocal and as outspoken as he wants to. It's crazy because he called me out sometime before we actually both got cut, and I was like, "Who is this guy calling me out?" And I was like, "Oh, damn, it's Justin Scoggins." Like, I respect Justin Scoggins. I have nothing against the man. I mean, he's a veteran. I look up to him very much. So when they cut him, like, yes, he was on a 3-fight losing streak. I get it. I think his last fight he won against Saeed, the Dagestani Russian guy. But it's still the fact of you literally just cut a UFC veteran that's been there since the beginning of the flyweight division. No problem. You go, "Hey, appreciate everything you've done. Take care of yourself." And I mean, look at Jared Brooks. Jared Brooks is one of my former opponents. He took a last-minute fight in like a 4-day notice, won the fight, and then he gets cut. Yeah. It's like, hold on, wait. He did you guys a favor, and you're still cutting him? It's like, he just won, and he put on an entertaining show. So it's the fact of there's nothing wrong with us. It's just we're small.
Yeah, that's kind of it's really a sad thing to have to fight for. Like, did you actually have conversations with some of the UFC brass, or was it just like your manager hit you up and was just like, "Hey, man, this is what's happening"?
We'll see. I'm definitely not allowed to talk to the UFC brass because UFC brass most of the time does not want to talk to fighters, and that's just mainly because, well, most fighters aren't educated. They think, "Oh, hey, I'm worth $1 million," or "I'm gonna just talk all this smack," and it's like, guys, that's not how this stuff works in the business. So for me, I definitely am not allowed. Given for people who don't know, Mick Maynard did block me on social media back in the day before I was even allowed in the UFC. So and that was just me because of being too outspoken. But I was like, "Hey, man," my manager, Lex McMahon, I go, "Hey, we need to talk to Mick Maynard, my matchmaker, and figure things out." And we called him. He said, no, it's not true. I made the video and posted it out, and it got promoted on MMA Junkie, Flow Combat, BJPenn.com, and then I don't know, they're like, "Okay, yes, it is true. You're the first one to get cut." And
Wow.
I was being respectful. I wasn't gonna post it out there. Obviously, it's something that was kept in. And then out of nowhere, Flow Combat says it's 100% true, and I go, "Cool, it's my perfect opportunity to boast about this." And I went on the Ariel Helwani show as well, really trying to be as outspoken as possible about this because it really is a money issue. It's not because we're not entertaining fighters. The bad thing is though, if you're an average fan that's not really too educated on MMA, you just like the fights. If Dana White or the UFC overall says flyweights aren't exciting, people naturally go, flyweights aren't exciting. So it's again, it's one of those things that we, UFC is such a big powerhouse, we have no choice but to take it and see where the world takes us from here.
Yeah, and I guess, to kind of shift gears looking forward, man, I've seen, your tweets about everything. Like, you got a lot of stuff going on, but do you have a fight lined up yet? Can we go that far yet?
Besides fighting life every single day, I don't have anything yet. But maybe diabetes. Man, turkey Thanksgiving, that was ridiculous. But
so you're a featherweight now?
I'm definitely past featherweight. Well, it's funny because I was in the Kingdom of Bahrain all last week, and I know all the guys from KHK MMA and all the Bahraini athletes, and they're like, "Oh, Shorty, you look 70 kg. 70 kg is lightweight. That's 155." Yeah. And I was like, "Screw you guys, I am. Shut up." I do naturally weigh 155 pounds. So when people ask me about like my performances in my last 2 fights, I didn't perform my best because I cut out of 9 days 26 pounds, and then 20 days 28 pounds in a 2-month notice. So I cut 54 pounds in 2 months, and I'm a flyweight. So given there's a reason why my performances weren't the best, but for me, it's I'm just looking for whatever's a good opportunity. I'm not looking to fight. I'm looking to be respected. I want to be respected and get a full 2-month training camp because, again, 9-day, 20-day notice. I never even got a full 3-week camp. So it's the fact of, you saw what I was able to do as an amateur. You saw what I was able to do in Titan. I believe I can do that anywhere else. I just need to be given the fair chance to compete like every other opponent I face, in the UFC, Titan, and all these other promotions. So I'm just trying to get respected, and I don't want to just fight. I want to be a commentator, sports analyst, and try to do other things because I know I can talk and perform that way as well.
So would it be safe to say that you're looking for something? Would you go to ONE FC and go out the country?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I was in the Middle East last week in Kingdom Bahrain, commentating for the IMF Mixed Martial Arts World Championships, commentated for Brave CF. I think they had Brave 18. I was commentating their title fights. I was hosting an award show, and again, for me, it's really, it doesn't matter who I fight because, again, you see there are really, really talented guys that are outside the UFC. There are really, really talented guys or promotions that are not the UFC, and I'm trying to show mainly for flyweights that the UFC isn't the only promotion in the world, and given they're definitely not the only big promotion in the world, they're just the most popular right now. That's all it is. And these other promotions are really dying to get not just a UFC veteran, but a young UFC veteran, something that's different. You don't hear that often. You always hear, UFC veterans being, in their late 30s and trying to get their young guys to beat up the old generation guys and kind of use that to boast them up. But I'm the young athlete now, so it is a little different. I do have some pull here, and I've talked to a couple promotions: ONE FC, Ryzen, Pancrase, KSW, Brave CF. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, I mean, I was on the works with this right when I got released, and I even was speculating it before I did.
He got all the acronyms coming after him, man.
You just gotta be safe. It's one of those things that you always gotta have a plan B. And sadly, UFC is it's one of those things. Again, the UFC is the top of the top. You grow up going, man, I want to be a UFC fighter. I want to be a UFC fighter. They don't even call it MMA anymore. They call it the UFC. You do UFC. It was actually really nice to say that for about 6 months ago. Actually, yes, I do UFC. But man, you see ONE FC coming up with the flyweight division. Like, they have the best flyweights in the world. I think they even had some of the best flyweights in the world before the UFC had, and still during when the reigns were going back and forth. I think overall these promotions are coming up and doing their thing, and maybe I'll sign with Brave, maybe I'll sign with ONE. It's more of just whoever's going to give me the best possible deal, and I'm just still waiting for a contract.
Gotcha. So you haven't had any official offers from either one of those two yet?
No, I've had offers,
okay,
but I haven't had anything officially signed or put on their paperwork. And that's the thing is, it's like anybody can say all these things, but I need the actions, I need the actual paperwork. And again, I want to be taken care of. I want to make sure that I'm respected as a fighter, and I'm not going to be put into last minute fights like I was in the UFC.
Tell me this, because you seem to get the big picture. Do you think that the UFC is going to have problems? When a lot of people are not talking about that, the fact that Dana could be walking away in a year and a half in July when that whole $300 million clause from the buyout. Do you think it'd be a whole landscape? And what do you think about these people being cool with the fact that they're not getting no money off that ESPN deal? It's like the UFC is pimping them legally.
Oh yeah, but man, the UFC's been pimping us legally for years, and that's dude, it's the craziest thing. I think it's Honcho Editing on Instagram and YouTube. One of my favorite channels for boxing. They put out the stats of how much boxing gives out to fighters compared to how much the UFC gives out to fighters. So, for example, given my stats can be a little off here, but when let's say 100%, obviously is there, 60% of it goes to the fighters, 40% goes to the promotion for boxing. MMA, 90% of it goes to the UFC, 10% of it goes to the fighters, if not actually even less. So it's like, wait, is this why we're getting paid so much less compared to boxers? Like, what's the case here? And the bad thing is, again, UFC is so popular, they know that there's always gonna be somebody to replace you. Like, yeah, man, I'll take the job. I'll fight for $10,000. We're all guys from the hood trying to make it out, but it's like that's not. It really, really does suck for a lot of us guys, and mainly the small guys being cut. But again, for me, I'm just trying to be respected and show that other promotions pay more. Look at the Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy Promotions event. It wasn't as popular as everyone hoped, but all those guys got paid. You know why? Because a boxing promoter ran it and, paid them well and respected them for it. So, and he was a fighter. Dana White and this whole WME buyout thing, it's all right now money. I mean, you look at Derek Lewis, he didn't even want that title fight. But he got 600,000 followers in one night saying his balls was hot. He didn't even get a full training camp. They gave him 20 days to prepare for DC, the double champ. That's not respect. That's all. That's not saying, hey, you deserve a title shot. That wasn't saying that at all. They go, you have the hype right now. Before your followers leave, we're gonna get you that title shot. Keep them there and bring them to the fight and get a lot more viewers. Look at man, there's just so many things. Look at all the flyweights. What other flyweight main event has there been besides DJ? The only flyweight main event was Sergio Pettis and Joseph Benavidez, and that was, or excuse me, Sergio Pettis and Brandon Moreno, and that was in Mexico City. That was for two Mexican fighters getting at it, but it's like that was it. So there's never been respect for the small guys, and everything's been a money fight. Look at Brock Lesnar randomly coming in after taking steroids, but he's perfectly fine because he makes them money. And he obviously makes them more money than what John Jones has, because if he does PEDs again, he's probably out for 2, 3, 5, whatever more years. So CM Punk making $500,000 in your pro debut, not even a UFC debut, a pro debut, making $500,000 where DJ, the multiple time defending champion, the most in UFC's history, didn't make that until maybe his last fight. So it's crazy how much it's who the respect, and if you can make the money, they'll pay you. But if not, sorry, man, we don't care what your resume says.
Yeah. One thing
breaking it down.
Yeah. One thing I do have to clarify. I mean, unless if Golden Boy had some serious like locker room bonuses, like undisclosed money pay, like there were some numbers that came out on at least four of the guys. Like Albert Morales made $10,000 less than his last UFC fight. Ephraim made $8,000 less. Gleason made $40,000 less, and Tom Lawler made $3,000 less. But again, like those locker room bonuses are probably a thing there that they do that to get away from paying all the taxes and stuff. But
no, it's definitely like I got locker room bonuses for my last 2 fights just because they were last minute fights. It's more of like a thank you, an initiative. Yeah. For them, it's definitely it might not be immediately 10 and 10, but it's crazy how most promotions, actually more than all the promotions besides the UFC, give locker room bonuses. It just depends on who you are and what your deal is. I've actually seen some locker room bonuses are actually more than their paychecks that are put out on the internet.
Yeah, I've heard about those rumors. I've heard about that. It's nice to know it's real.
Yeah, if we good thing me and Matt are both hip on the economics that is MMA, but you giving our listeners a tutorial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I did my Ariel Helwani podcast, it was. I try my best not to sound like I'm complaining, but it's one of those things that sometimes you got to put the facts out there, and if it looks like you're complaining, then so be it. It looks like you're complaining, but at least the truth or the possible truth is out there, So again, it's WME paid, what was it, $6 billion for the UFC, something like around there. That's awesome, but that's a crap load of money. How are they going to make their money back? Well, they got to make money fights, and that's what they're trying to do right now. I haven't seen. There's only been a handful of fights that I've seen since the WME buyout that are deserved title shots or deserved main events. You know, it's more of you're popular, cool. Let's put them both two in there and let's just kind of see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just one of those things that as an MMA fighter, again, trying to work your way up. Again, I love boxing. I believe 100% in the ranking, and I believe UFC should do the same thing when it comes to mandatory title fights. But they don't do that. They don't care about that. They want the money, and they want whatever the fans want. That's gonna get them paid.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt. There's a lot of truth in that. And I like what you said there, like you try to not come off as complaining, but the fact is, like, if you're just sharing facts and you don't like people sharing facts, then maybe you should change your facts, to make it not sound like it's complaining.
And if you were, that's your livelihood. For me, as a media person and a fan of the sport, that's your livelihood. You can't tell a man not to complain about his livelihood, so I ain't mad at you.
No, and you're right. I mean, again, like my YouTube series, Inside Team Shorty, given I've only done 6 or 7 episodes. I got to do a lot more. I've been off like 3 weeks because I've been traveling so much. But it's Inside Team Shorty, so it's the reality and truth and everything behind the scenes that people don't see. Like the very first episode is talking about the truth of MMA. Like, again, kids growing up, I was one of those kids that just saw things on TV and social media and they go, man, this is awesome. I see this guy walking around, showing off money. He's with women. He's with this. He's awesome. He can fight. And then you get there, it's like, oh, wait, none of this is there. It's like, you never, it's like a Rocky movie. Like, you never see the in-between. You just see the start and you see the finish. And it's like, whoa, no one's telling me anything in between. I didn't know this was involved. I didn't know I was going to spend more money as a professional than I did as an amateur, So it really is crazy the things we do for the sport. Man, we love it and we work so hard for it. So it's just, to me, it sucks to see, mainly for us flyweights right now, it sucks to see that we're not even given a chance to keep on, doing what we love and is fighting for our position, and they're just kind of taking it away from us. Again, I still had 2 more fights on my contract, and it's like one of those relationships where your girl just comes to you and she's like, it's over. It's like, oh, wait, why? No. And just walks away. It's like, what? That's pretty much what they did to me. They never gave me a warning. They go, hey, you're going to fight in December. All right, cool. Hey, you're going to fight sometime early next year. Sure. You're cut. What? So it's and I still had 2 more fights. I don't get paid for those 2 fights, not even the show money, not even a little locker room bonus just to help me out. It's like, hey, we appreciate what you did. I know you took 2 last-minute fights, but hey, take care of yourself. Good luck in your life. Bye-bye.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. Hey, Shorty, do you watch combat sports as a whole? Like, do you watch boxing?
Yeah, I watch boxing a lot.
Who you got in Fury Wilder? I'll be there Tuesday. I'll be there all week. I got Deontay with another KO because of Tyson Fury. You ain't gonna just come off your couch and beat someone on that caliber. I don't care how good you were. I'm talking about how good you are today. I don't see it. I'm gonna have to see it. I'll be there 4th row ringside.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, they both have their advantage. I give it definitely to Wilder just because, man, he's so much longer than everybody else. It's so hard to, again, you see when John Jones came into the sport, like, John Jones honestly didn't do anything different, but he was so much longer than everyone else that the stuff he did was just unpredictable. It was completely strange. Again, I'm small, man. Me trying to take down someone my size is easy. Taking down somebody a little taller than me, sure, a little harder, but somebody just 3 times as long as I am, I literally been on John Jones's leg, like holding it like a tree. I was like a koala on a tree. Who made that meme? It was hilarious. And he is super freakishly long, and I was just like, I don't know how. This is why people struggle with him. But Deontay Wilder, man, I do give him the fight when it comes to everything. He has the youth. He has the extreme power where he could always knock it out in one punch. But Fury, man, Fury always somehow comes out of nowhere and then just shows his style, shows his finesse. Yeah, he's been caught a couple times, but he's beaten some of the best, and I think he's the appropriate veteran to possibly beat Wilder.
I'll say this: I think he has more of a chance than Anthony Joshua does. People are sleeping on that fact.
I think overall, just putting all 3 in the ring at the same time is something the boxing should have do a 3-way fight and see who ends up like teaming up with each other to pick on one person. I think that'd be kind of fun to see. But no, I think it might be my pro wrestling, right? It might be rock paper scissors effect. Maybe one guy beats this guy, but that guy can beat that guy, and it just kind of keeps on going. You never know.
Yeah, I'm just glad we have high level heavyweight boxing back. I mean, it's been a while since it seems like the general public is like really excited about a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
That's the way boxing should be for me. Like heavyweight boxing, you think about the golden era of heavyweight boxing, like that was what people got excited for. That's what everybody was talking about, and we have a little bit of that coming back now. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I did want to ask you one other question about about the topic of the guys. We talk to Mark De La Rosa all the time, and he was a guy that also expressed a lot of the things that you've been talking about. Never really had an opportunity at a full camp. Always having to take the short notice fights. That's his thing. Like since he got this last win, he was like, man, I really just want to hold out until I get a full camp. That's just give me that one time.
It's exhausting. Yeah.
Have you talked to any other guys that have expressed similar things?
Actually, I'm really good friends with Mark. I think I texted him today. I always send him memes and like to have fun with him and talk smack to him all the time. I'm hoping to come down to Texas and have each other just punch each other in the face. But nah, man, he I got jealous with him because I go, oh, cool, you're fighting. That's awesome. Like that's he's really good friends with Mick Maynard. They have a past with Legacy and stuff before it became LFA, and I think Mick, given you have to ask him, Mick kind of screwed him over, and I feel Mick is finally redeeming himself a little bit and helping him out in the UFC and getting him fights and overall letting Mark prove himself. But it's the fact of I was upset that Mark was able to get a 135-pound fight compared to my last two. I go, hey man, I have a 9-day notice to lose 26 pounds. Could we make it a catch weight? A couple extra pounds, even 130, please. And they go, nope. It's either that fight or nothing. And then Alex Perez, the fight he had before me, he missed weight. And then the fight before that, he fought at 35. So I go, hey, this is a last minute fight. I'm doing, the UFC and you a favor. Can we take it at 30 or 35? And they all told me, not Alex, but the UFC said, no, we're not making that offer. That's, a bad thing. So when I heard Mark was getting that fight against Joby, another friend of mine at 135, I'm like, oh, I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much. I was just so jealous. I was like, that's freaking awesome. But, yeah, man, Mark is the same way. He's a hardworking guy, hardworking Latino coming up, and he's taken a lot of last-minute fights. Luckily for him, they've been at 35, but he's been proving everyone wrong and doing his thing and just really coming out of the woodworks. But it's that Ray Borg, Justin Scoggins, trying to think who else reached out to me. Jared Brooks, there's Joby, Mark. There's so many guys that have reached out to me and just showed their side to me and just being nice and showing their support, but also being like, hey, Eric Shelton as well is another one that's just like it's crazy to hear what happened. Hopefully we continue to keep on fighting. The thing is now the UFC is trying to make the press kind of come into it and they go, you know what, we're gonna make a title fight at 125. And it's like, oh wait, you just said yesterday you're cutting it. Why are you doing this? And it gets people talking. It's literally the best marketing tactic ever because what are you going to do? You're going to watch it now. Oh, my God, there's freaking hype in the flyweight division. It's like, oh, wait, but they're still going to cut it. So what they're going to do, regardless, this is a money fight. You have Cejudo, the champion, TJ, one of the best bantamweights ever in history. And if TJ goes down, he becomes a double weight champ. They get to promote him like Conor in DC, and it's easy to promote at 135. That's going to be even more stacked now because some flyweights are moving up. But what if TJ loses? Oh, well, that's an automatic rematch for Cejudo, and he gets to possibly fight for the 35-pound belt and make it that much more of a hype fight. So it's like, damn, it's science. These guys are brilliant.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is crazy, though. It's they're going to end it more than likely after that super fight, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a cluster, if you ask me. It's all a cluster. Yeah. It's a cluster, but hopefully it gets sorted out, and eventually guys will get treated better. Because that if 135 is the new small class, then you got bigger names, I guess, so to speak, maybe. But I just don't like hearing these kind of stories, man. And I've heard it not just from your weight class, but I've heard it from other guys that me and Kendrick have talked to in the past that, they find out stuff through social media all the time. They have to find out, from all these weird sources instead of someone picking up the phone and just calling, saying, hey, this is going on.
And that's crazy. You look at it, again, big boxing fan, you look at it in boxing's point of view. Dude, even, who was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world It was Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. What weight was here? I believe it was like 112, 118, and he was the best pound for pound champion ever, at the time, and or in the world at least at the time. And it's just like, why is he so popular? He's smaller than the flyweights. He's a strawweight, and he's popular. It's not because he's doing what everyone else is doing, and he has knockout power in the flyweight, or excuse me, in the strawweight division. It's just it's a 50-50 relationship, just like anything. We're gonna do as much as we can, but hey, man, you need to help us back. And boxing, for example, promoted the hell out of him. Everyone knew him. Look at Manny Pacquiao when he first started. 8 division world champ, started at 112. And then ended his career at 154. But you knew him before he even made it to 135. So it's not the fighters. It's not because we're small, we don't have knockout power or anything. We're probably the most technical guys because we don't have that one-shot knockout power. It's the fact that the UFC never cared to promote us. So as looking at the average fan that's not educated in MMA, they just say whatever the UFC says, and they just pretty much mimic it like a parakeet. So if the UFC says the flyweight division's boring, everyone later on the day is going to be like, oh, it's on Fight Pass? I'm not going to watch it. Flyweight division. It's like, you kidding me? Yeah, you say it, then people are just going to believe it. So it really is crazy to how powerful really the UFC has become.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate reality that some of you guys have to go through. And then, like I said, man, hopefully it changes in the coming years. But, the track record is what it is right now. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully it changes. Well, they're doing their thing and they're making a lot of money for it, and they're trying to make their mony back. They're doing a whole new thing in Beijing, China. So, again, it's whatever they're doing is working for them. It just, it sucks for the fighters, and I think the fighters are now learning, because I trained in an American Top Team where it has literally the most professionals at a gym that I've ever been at. And most of them, mainly outside the UFC, go, hey, dude, we tried it, we did it, go somewhere else. Or we're better respected here. Or even though I make less money here, I have a better chance of having a long-term life here compared to I lose 2 and I'm out. So there's just it's crazy. Again, the ins and outs of the sport, but the UFC, they have a lot of power. And again, there's always somebody there ready to replace you, and it just, it sucks. Do you think more promotions should do like the PFL model, where it's like whatever you do entertainment-wise doesn't matter. You win, you get your points. There's a very rigid system of how this is going to play out at the end of the day. All the other crap doesn't matter. It's you show up, you do your job, you're going to get to the top of the mountain one way or the other. It's just straightforward. That's just facts, And if you're entertaining on top of that, sure, more sponsors will come on the outside, but do you think that should be the model that more promotions go with?
I think the PFL, it's crazy because when many people first saw it, especially myself, you're just like, man, cool, I guess, another promotion, trying something different. But anytime it came on, it was almost like, Thursday night or, Sunday football. You're just like, oh, it's on, this is dope. You're like, cool, I have a schedule. I know when it's going to be on, and this is different, compared to in their seasons. Compared to UFC, when it first started, it was only a few years after they first started, there was, 4 pay-per-view events a year. Now it's, 8, doubled it, and there's literally almost an event every 2 weeks. So it's not as given, yes, as popular, but if people miss a fight, they're like, I'll watch the one next week, whatever, so for the PFL, I think the schedule is awesome. The money pays. This thing, is really cool, and it gives an incentive to guys to obviously better perform and train themselves to possibly win $1 million and win that grand prize. And it really is something cool. Maybe they make a flyweight division take a huge chance at that opportunity, next year. But we'll see what happens next, man. But I think the PFL has actually a really, really cool system.
I think we can make the perfect promotion here. Let's use PFL's structure. UFC's popularity, one championship's weigh-in system, but you have to let media in to witness the weigh-in. And what am I missing here? I think that's really close to a perfect promotion there.
Yeah, it's just hopefully we don't include Ryzen's like crazy fights and crazy like 54 years old and like literally half your weight.
Before I let you go, what you think about that crazy? Speaking of crazy fights, we talked about a crazy fight last night.
what was the fight? Oh, that Tito Ortiz chocolate belt.
Yeah, did you see it?
I didn't actually watch the fights, given I had some friends, UFC veterans on there, but and shout out to Gleason Tebow for getting that long awaited win, much deserved. But man, it's again, it's kind of like Manny Pacquiao Marquez 4. Like, you want to see it, but you're like, man, it's enough. It's enough. Even though that was a great fight as well. I love Manny, so I was like, oh no. But anyway, the Tucker Liddell thing, man, it's just. He's older, and it just sucks to see a guy who dominated back in the day get taken out so easily by someone he took out so easily back in the day. It really just age catches up to everyone, and sadly, yesterday really, really showed that.
Yeah, right. That Pacquiao Marquez 4 is funny for a couple reasons because, come on now, all them fights they had, Marquez looked no bigger than he did in that fight. Mm-hmm. And then Roy Jones had one of the best calls ever. He's not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up, Jim.
And the memes, I remember that day because, again, I'm a big Manny Pacquiao fan. I'm always trying to find the streams and do whatever. And I was in college, and I ended up competing in the Pan American Games for Brazil. And I just won a gold medal that day. I went home. Literally, I'm down in the hotel lobby trying to watch because the Wi-Fi was horrible anywhere else. And I'm watching it. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I found it. Cool. I found, some stream. And I remember him getting knocked out. And I was like, what? No, this is fake. No, it's fake. And I freaked out because that was him. I think him and Anderson Silva are some of my two favorite fighters. So when their devastating losses came into play, it was horrible for me. I was like, oh God, about to cry and stuff. But no, man, Manny Pacquiao, he is one of my role models, and literally just life in general, not just as a fighter, but what he does to his country, and he's a senator and all that stuff. Like, good for him, man. From coming from the slums to doing something as big as he's doing, dude. That guy's so popular. He's like, I'm gonna join the basketball team. That's it. I'm gonna be a professional basketball player. Why not? Not even that good. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna sell some albums. Why? Because I can. That's freaking awesome. Good for you, man. So, but man, when he got knocked out, that was a depressing day for me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can kind of echo that last night with seeing Chuck just look like a shell of himself, like a shell of the shell of the shell of himself. He just wasn't good at all. But we don't need any more of that. That kind of falls in lines with the rise and stuff you were talking about, damn near. So no more of that, please, MMA promoters out there. No more of that. No more of that. Listen, Shorty, man, it's been fun. Thank you for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate the time, and I really hope you find another promotion that will treat you right and get your name out there and so we can see you do work again, man.
And then when you get that call, please let us know so we can have you back on.
Oh, for sure, man. Well, I'll definitely be, me. I'm a social media guy,
That's
so I'm
right.
all
Team
everything.
Shorty.
Team Shorty, man. We can, we will. Together we are, because for everyone's help, I want to be where I'm at today, and that's why I always do say, we are Team Shorty. So, I appreciate it, man. It was a pleasure being on the show. And again, until next time, we'll see what happens next.